Hello, Android developers. My name is Mohsen, and as a new category in this YouTube channel, I want to start interviewing some professional Android developers to get to know their lifestyle and how they keep themselves up to date. These videos are also to encourage junior Android developers to get more into Android and they understand how a senior developer life is like and how they keep themselves up to date and keep track of everything. Please like and share this video if you like it, and do not forget to subscribe to get more of this video. Thank you, and let's start. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I want to interview with Mr. Jafari, or we can call him Seyed, I think that's okay. So please introduce yourself and give us some insight. What are you doing?
Hi, Mohsen. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, as you said, I'm Seyed Jafari. I'm a software engineer in Revolut, based in London currently, and very glad to be here. That's pretty much the short, brief information.
Okay, cool. So I knew you from Twitter, and then I met you on Droidcon Berlin, of course, remotely because you couldn't get the visa and some issue happened. But anyway, I saw the talk and I think it was fantastic. Do you want to talk about the talk that you had?
Yeah, sure. The funny thing is, it's the topic that I'm kind of passionate about, and I like to talk about it. Hence the talk. So, yeah, why not? I'm always talking about crashes and exceptions and how good they are to our app instead of our instinct that tells us, okay, exceptions are bad. So I talked to a lot of friends, colleagues, and a lot of different places, but it was never online or official. It was just round up debates. I One day I come to myself, okay, why not to put it in a talk and then do it officially, like share it with the rest of the people and see what they think. So yeah, I put down some time and then gathered up all the slides, and then yeah, that's what happened at Droidcon.
And I think you did also enjoy it from London, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, both of them.
Cool. To be honest, I really like people who take care of the community, and that's why we are here. So the main goal of these interviews are to encourage the junior Android developers and those who want to join this community. And we want to show that how friendly we are and how we are open to share the data, share the knowledge, and even share our lifestyle. So thank you for being here. And I think we can continue with my questions. So I wrote some of the questions, and I also opened a thread on Reddit, and some people just jumped in, and they had lots of nice questions that I added to my list. So I will start asking one by one, and let's see how it goes. The first category is lifestyle. So I think we like to know what's the lifestyle of a professional Android developer who is working in this field. But what are your hobbies, and how do you spend your non-working time after work?
Oh, that's a complicated one, but you and I both have a child, so when a child comes by, then the whole story changes. So did mine, and yeah, I try to spend most of my time with the family, my wife, my child. I try to take him out, take a walk, or maybe just trying to spend some quality time with him. That's the goal in the day to day, and especially for the weekends. But of course, we cannot just leave the entire Android story behind. So yeah, there is always Android topics involved in those free time.
Okay, interesting. So if you want to say a fun fact about yourself, what could it be?
Huh. I really like this question. Um, there might be quite a few fun facts about me, but I think the funniest one might be that I'm also a pilot. That I have a private pilot license. It's for short PPL, and I can kind of drive small airplanes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to know how. Maybe we should go a trip together. But okay.
Okay.
Do you also have a plan?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I
I'm
want to
just a
know.
pilot, not rich.
Yeah, I was wondering maybe as an Android developer you make that much money, but okay.
Oh,
So So, do you also do Android development for fun? So, when you're at home and you have nothing to do you open Android Studio or have your own project?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the only way I could manage to stay up to date with everything. But I wouldn't just put it as Android development. I just pick up what comes to me and try to work on it. It happened to be at some point Python project. It had to be kind of Compose desktop, something unrelated to Android, but Compose was the sharing logic. And yeah, but I do definitely spend some time on generally software engineering stuff in my free time.
Okay, cool. And how do you reduce the stress and pressure after the long work day? Do you have any solution, like, I don't know, going to a dark room and closing your eyes, or playing video games, or watching some fun series?
So again, I'm gonna go back to the situation that I have a child. When you
Ah,
have
okay.
one of them,
I
the
have
whole
one.
pressure just immediately goes away when you just get up from your seat. And yeah, it really does help. Plus, I try to keep myself relaxed during the whole day. So I don't want to do under pressured work because I don't believe that they are the type of work for me. So I try to reduce it as much as possible and put it inside our day to day development in even in the work culture.
Mhm, mhm.
So honestly, even though there is pressure, it's enough for me to tolerate that I don't feel it.
Yeah, okay. Talking about pressure at work, when you want to focus on something and there are lots of distraction, do you listen to music, or any specific genre, or artist or playlist? How do you try to manage that focus?
So that might be actually the second fact about me, fun fact, and that is I don't listen to any kind of music at all,
Oh,
and not even outside of the work.
okay.
But I tried because I saw so many people when try to focus on coding, they listen to music, and I tried, and I failed at it so badly. Like I'm not a good listening multitasker. If I
Mm,
listen to something, I'll just forget about what I'm doing right now. So
yeah.
one thing at a time.
Okay, okay. How did lockdown and COVID somehow hit you and the workflow, and how did you manage to stay at home whole time?
Um, so it was a roller coaster for me about COVID because initially when the COVID hit, I was in Berlin and our flat wasn't really that big. So I had to sit
Hmm.
in the reception room. That's what they call it in UK
Hmm.
and do the work. And also my child was there and my wife used to go and come back. So it was a lot of like focusing issue at the beginning, but then sorry, the as the time went by, I kind of managed to find my focus and get around all the noise that is happening around me and avoid being distracted. But luckily, after I moved to London, our flat is big enough that I have my separate room and it's like my office. So I
Hmm.
don't care really if I go to office or not. I actually prefer to stay at home because again,
Hmm.
I happen to use that commute time with my family more. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I'm also
Yeah,
doing the
but
same.
it definitely, but it's definitely worth mentioning that putting on a lot of weight is one of the benefits of working from home. So yeah, it's been tough.
You mentioned you're married. If you was not, and by knowing the lifestyle of an Android developer, will you marry some Android developer? This question comes from my wife because she suffers a lot for my hard work, and she really like to know other Android developer answers.
Yeah, I don't know. My wife is gonna watch this interview or not. Hopefully not. Please don't. You can skip this moment if you're watching right now. Yeah, it's kind of a tough question to answer, but Um, I don't know, honestly. I don't want to limit it all about work-life balance because obviously love part is the most important factor,
Mhm.
and that's what is keeping us going. But definitely there are times that my wife gets frustrated. So I assume if I was her, I would have got frustrated too. I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that kind of question honestly, but
Okay, yeah, maybe it's too
yeah.
much. Let's just skip it.
Mm.
So um, there was a trend on Twitter, people, Android developers sharing their salary, but I don't want to ask you how much do you make. If you can say if you want, but someone on Reddit asked me to ask anyone I interview how much they make, but I don't want to go that way. I want to change it to this way: that are you happy with income? And you think as a software developer who is doing Android, we are making good money in compared to other software developers.
So yeah, that's a very very good point and important actually. I think wherever we are kind of a little bit above the average of that city. I'm not uh, saying it based on absolute facts, but based on my findings. But that doesn't mean that's enough. Not for me, not for anyone else in any different industry. So, especially in London and Berlin, the housing costs are skyrocket. So, you gotta have a much higher salary at least than what I'm getting right now to be able to afford a suitable, decent house in here. But yeah, I'm okay. I don't say that I don't like my what I'm getting right now. I'm definitely totally okay, but that doesn't mean I want to stop here. No, there is always a room, and I'm always raising my hand for that. And for the note that people ask you for the exact number, I don't mind sharing it. In fact, since I want to track some attention as well, selfishly, I'm gonna send just say everyone to just go to my Twitter. I share it in a few months back, so they will find it there.
Okay, nice. I didn't. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, you know the Git blame feature. And what's your reaction when you go through the blame and you want to find that guy that did the hack and you find that it was yourself?
Close the ticket immediately and put it under the carpet. You don't want anyone else to find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, especially after a side project on GitHub, you always look back at what you have done and you see the progress and you feel like, okay, what have I been doing all this time? And you might actually feel like you have wasted your time by coding in that way, but that's actually wrong because at that moment of time with that condition and stress, that's what came up and that's the best solution you got. And everyone reviewed it, everyone agreed with it, you moved on, and it was working for how many days or months or maybe years. But now of course you learn much more and you can go back to change it if it's not working well. If it's working, it doesn't really matter for the user what kind of a technologies are used. So yeah, I do definitely get the heat of, oh boy, I messed something up badly. Like, who wrote that? I do get that as well. But then immediately I try to like remember all the situation I went when I was writing that code and to kind of calm down myself to avoid doing something in a rush that I regretted later. Maybe right now I don't accept that code, but if I change it in a hurry and then 1 year later I will regret it even more than the previous version.
Yeah, yeah. Good points. I agree with all of them. And I've been there before, and the best part is that you learn that okay, you have improved, and it's nice that you get the feeling that okay, I didn't mess at that point, but now I know how to do it, and it's a good feeling. I always get the good feeling, but okay,
Yeah, totally.
cool. As the last question of this category, what's your phone brand? Is it Android
Hmm.
or iOS?
No, it's definitely Android.
Okay.
I'm not the imposter here. uh, no, so it's a OnePlus
Mhm.
8T, but the next one won't be a OnePlus anymore. Sorry, OnePlus.
Yeah, I wanted to go for OnePlus, but when Pixel is here, then why OnePlus? But yeah,
Yeah, not the Pixel either. I didn't like the
okay.
latest version.
Mm.
I really didn't like the latest version, the 6 Pro and 6. It wasn't really my thing.
Can I ask why?
So yeah, first thing, the battery sucks, and the charger is not powerful enough to charge it as fast as my OnePlus. My OnePlus
Hmm.
charges in 20 minutes,
Hmm.
and I really don't care about batteries these days. And face unlock is really important. I
Hmm.
don't really like to use the finger anymore
Hmm.
to unlock the phone.
Yeah.
And a few of these features that really stand out that was like, maybe this is not the phone that I'm looking for. Especially that my current phone is decent enough that can get me by maybe by the next year. So I didn't feel the need to go and buy another one.
Yeah. My only uh, uh, thing about this question is that when you have a kid, then you cannot change your phone every year. And yeah, you know what I'm
You're
talking
already a
about.
father.
Yeah, it is. Cool. So yeah, we will go to the next category. Okay, the second section is about Android community. So you have already contributed with your talk to the Android community, and but beside that, what was your latest contribution to the Android community? Was there any other libraries or article or something like this?
So yeah, so I of course this year was one of my most active years. So I've given a lot of talks, I guess, and not just Droidcon. There was Berlin, London, Italy. There was Berlin user group for Kotlin. So
Hmm.
yeah, a few talks definitely went out this year for me. But I do have a blog as well, which is quite rusty. I used to write a lot when I was in Berlin, but now I didn't have the time yet to get it up and running again. About libraries, um, so I do try myself to keep myself updated with the cool new libraries that come out. But to write one myself, I did write a few libraries. Apparently not much attention was grabbed, so it was a cool hobby for me. Done it, that's there. Right now nothing of such, but I have one project in my head that I can, it's kind of a library project. Maybe I can put it on, start working on it before the year ends, so
Hmm.
let's see how it goes.
Hmm. Yeah, cool, interesting. So, talking about your talk, I really like to know how you prepare yourself for going up a stage because I've done this and I know the pressure, and I like to know how every person try to manage it.
I want to put something firmly here that doing a talk in person than doing it in virtually is two different worlds. They don't even collide in even a path with each other. So the first one, which I was doing virtually, I was super stressed, and it was for Kotlin Berlin, and but I managed to kind of pull myself together, and it was just a little bit of sweating. That was all. And
Mm.
then when the guy, I think it was partner of Holger, I don't really remember the name, sorry. But when he started talking and like we warmed up a little bit before the actual live event, everything was already cooled down, calm, and I could focus on what I was doing. So great job to the organizer.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
then after that, the virtual talks got better and better and better. To this point, I just have to rehearse it and know what I'm going to talk about. And then I don't think about the talk at all. I'll just try to talk about what I care about, and that's it. Because if I talk about the talk itself and the people that are looking at me, I'll get freaked out immediately and I lose it. But then until I got to the real stage in a
mhm,
in-person talk in London, and it was like, oh my God, how am I gonna pull this one off? It was super scary. I was freaking out,
Mhm.
and I told my friend, listen, I'm freaked out. I'm scared. I'm shaking. My hands are sweaty, but they're cold. All of those creepy things were happening. And I said, I'm gonna be left alone for a moment and just sit there. I thought to myself, okay, let's go to the room and then let's pick up the wipe so I can calm myself down. That was the worst idea. Never go to the room before your talks start. Just go there when it's about the time. So I went there. I was listening to another talk which was before me, and I was like, "Oh my God! All of these people are looking at me. What am I gonna do?" It was even worse. But then I couldn't stand up because my legs were shaking so hard. I couldn't do a damn thing. And then the talk ended, and I immediately kind of pushed myself, kind of literally, to the stage and to the podium and try to do a small talk with the organizer, same as I did with the virtual versions, and kind of pull a few jokes before that, like teased a few people, and that was it. Uh, Most of the stress immediately cooled down again because I saw, okay, maybe I can communicate. That's there. I just need to, sorry, I just need to bring it up. And then during the talk I found that if I want to cool myself down, I usually hold on to something. So there was a podium. If you look at the video, you'll see that I'm holding most of the time the podium. That was the reason. I'm leaving the secrets. I'm letting the cat out of the box here.
All right. Before we go and see a real use cases and example of exceptions and how to deal with them, I'm going to set something very crystal clear, and that's exception-driven programming against if-else. Let's see a round of hands who thinks exception-driven, who has actually tried it, and who thinks it's actually good. Come on, no one? You didn't try exception-driven programming ever? Oh, someone did. You weren't brave enough. Okay, cool. One person. Okay. In fact, it's not good. Don't try it. And there was a reason for that pause.
So some question from Reddit is that how do you keep yourself up to date with the fast-paced Android development and every day a new library, a new version of Kotlin, a new version of SDK? How do you keep yourself up to date?
So how should we approach this question? I have two ways. Okay. If someone is listening, my suggestion, I'm not gonna tell you right now what I'm doing every day, but my suggestion is read every blog post you can, watch every video talk, interview about Android, listen to every tweet everyone publishes, and that's how you probably stay up to date by 50% of Android development. And if you do it for a week, you will see that it doesn't work because you're one person and there is a million things happening at the same time in Android development, and you can actually do it. I learned it the hard way. It took me a few months to figure out that I'm not the Iron Man of learning everything all by myself. So these days, I don't really care about what's going on. I just only care about what I'm interested and only the news. So if a new library publishes, usually on Twitter, it's the best place to just keep people around you that are very active. So I keep in mind that, okay, there is that sort of library over there for this specific task. If I need it later, I'll go have a look. But if I'm interested in in that library, I'll go and have a look right now. If it's something that Google pushes, like Compose, for example, then I need to go and learn it in a short time, because then the whole community will be moving towards that and I'll be left behind. But something like Compose happens once in 13 years. So you
Yeah.
don't have to really worry much about it. In fun fact, I'm gonna give this example because it comes a lot and actually shocks a lot of people out. A few people come to me and ask me, "Do you know this problem with live data?" Or other person comes to me and says, do you know how to use live data in this situation? The first thing that I tell them is like, listen, I didn't use live data much, so I don't know how to set up or code what you're asking for. I'm sorry about it. But my gut tells me that maybe you should set it up in this way and that way, or maybe just go and read the documentation.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't know how to work with live data. I was like, I don't need to know it yet, so I don't learn it. Yeah, you don't need to learn everything. Just learn about the things that you're most interested about.
Yeah, I also think it this way, that it's like a big ocean and you cannot get deep in every segment. So you have to stay on surface, maybe for some APIs or some tools, and go dive deep inside when you need to use that thing. Because I have an example. I knew that, okay, on phone there is Bluetooth and there is BLE and there are some API that you can use it, but I never used it until my previous work and previous project. So before that, I had no idea how it works. I used it, and now I know things has changed after I left the company, and Android also updated a bit libraries and APIs. And if you ask me to do it now, I have to go and read it again, because the moment you leave the API behind, it's going to get updated. And as you said, there are a million people generating contents, library, and data that you may use maybe 1% of all those data to do your job. But yeah, I totally agree with you. But this is something for those who want to join. I know some people who want to join, and they think that they should know everything from scratch, and they should exactly know how API works, how every API works, and that's not okay. That doesn't work. So you have to look what tool you need and use that in your case. But enough from my side. Let's continue with you.
Yeah, to give another example, at the beginning, I was really interested about retrofit library and how it works. So I was like, okay, maybe I should go and read it up. And that's exactly what I did. I went deep inside. Like, I left everything aside and I said, okay, I want to know how retrofit works, and that's it. So just focus on your time. Focus your time on the things that you really care about or you're interested.
Yeah, I agree. And how much time do you dedicate for learning materials? Is it, for example, a fixed time, 1 hour per day, or I don't know? Do you get upset when you do not meet that time?
No, so I don't have a dedicated fixed time. I'm very flexible person. I try to adjust as much as possible, but I do dedicate a bit in the morning because I'm fresh, and until I get completely boot up, I need a bit of a buffer, and that buffer is by reading books or maybe just reading some articles. Android Weekly and Kotlin Weekly are the best things in the Monday mornings. And then at night, if I have a project, then I definitely try to work it, as I've said it. But not necessarily every night I have to put like 1 hour. Maybe that's one of the reasons I never went to the freelancing work, because I cannot be in a constrained way of have to work 1 hour.
Yeah, I agree. So talking about Android articles, what was the latest article you read and you found it useful?
There was a it was an article not about Android. Maybe I can think about Android one and give you one. But there was an article on the strings on Java and how they have improved over the time from Java 8. It was fantastic. Like, it was going into details how like a plus operator for two strings is now a better way to approach concatenating two strings together. Unfortunately, we are living in the Java 8 of Android, so we don't get all those benefits, but we have Kotlin, so we can benefit from it. But Android specific, oh, oh yes, there was one blog. I don't know if it was Chris Baines. I'm not sure, but it was about passing modifiers to compose functions. So it was something that I struggled at the beginning, and I figured that again the hard way. And after I read this article, maybe 8 months after my struggles, I was like, oh, that's why. So we have the same feeling that we should actually pass the modifier always to function. That was actually very interesting.
Yeah, if you send me the link, I will put in the video description. So
Sure.
yeah, I will put your Twitter account and your talk and any article that you gave me that you think is useful for Android community.
Awesome.
So yeah, another question from Reddit. Who is your hero in Android world? And how would you react if you see him in person?
So I don't like the word hero because for two reasons. One is that because it separates people from normal people, it makes you feel that okay, they're born with a special ability. They went to a scientific lab, something went wrong, and now they are like kind of a different person now. I don't like the way that we're abusing the word hero too much in these days. So yeah, I don't like it this way. I like to feel connected and I feel like okay, that's achievable. But he had the time to put it, you didn't. So that's the difference. So I don't want to say that anybody is my favorite or hero, but I do love people from Square. Like of course Jake Wharton, I'm a fan. The thing that he does, Jesse Wilson, Eager, all these people from Square, definitely. The fact that I like them is because they share a lot of their works with public. There might be a lot of other people's, but they don't share. If you sharing if you share your work, then you're more precious to the community than the rest that don't. So that's why I like them. But of course, you cannot go about without saying Google developers. Actually, there is one person that I really like in terms of talking, and that's Chet Haas. I managed to get a hold of him in this Droidcon. I like the way that he gives talks and kind of a stand-up comedy mix technical talks. So I really love to pick up his ideas and kind of apply it to my talks. I tried even in this talk. But yeah, I like you as well. Like, you're doing a good job in the community. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I also like Chetaz, and I also took a selfie with him in Droidcon, and that's an achievement for me. Yeah, also Hadi Hariri. I like him from Kotlin community, and he is doing great job sharing the knowledge about the Kotlin, and I really like him and what he's doing.
Yeah. He has a very close kind of a talk characteristic as Chet has. Like he's funny in a way of technical. So yeah, him too.
Yeah, I like his jokes. So,
yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
So that's it with this section. So let's go with the other one.
Cool.
Okay, the next section is about encouraging junior Android developers who want to join this community and want to become someday some senior Android developers. So first question is a result of a discussion on Reddit, which I like to share with you, and then we talk about it. So how did you start Android development, and what was your first API version? Do you remember?
So I don't remember, but unofficially I started with Android 2, I think Gingerbread or something before that. But I didn't do Android development. I used to mess up with Android ROMs. So I was like on what was the name of the website? I forgot. There is a famous website for a lot of Android ROMs. I forgot it now. I was trying to be active there. I created one or two ROMs for my own phone, and then fast forward maybe a few years after that, maybe 2 3 years after that, I decided, okay, I kind of like Java, so let's get to learn Java. I studied Java as much as I could, and then try to learn how to create an app for myself, and then tried a few interviews. I was lucky and got a job.
Yeah, nice. Do you believe as an Android developer or as a professional Android developer, do you need to know everything from the version 1 and what was the changes to the API, or what you know right now is enough?
Oh, if you can, if you really can learn all of that ocean, be my guest. I mean, I don't even think these days, I don't even think people in the Google know everything about Android themselves. They are now focused on one part of it. And if you hear about their talks, they cannot come up with answers that are not in their kind of fields of the work that they're doing. And this is such a massive area right now. I don't think anybody can actually grasp everything at one. Uh, and plus, a lot of useless bunch of deprecated stuff is not gonna do you any good. So like async task is a thing of a past, luckily. So you don't need to really learn it. Just forget about it. But you definitely need to learn something that was very akin to a async task called memory. So instead of learning async task, which is not used these days, hopefully, go and learn memory leak and what they are. Definitely not. You cannot even do that.
Yeah, someone was thinking that we can, but anyway.
Good luck.
What was what was your first Android app, or I can say serious Android app? Because yeah, you make some Hello World, but what was the first one you put on market and had some users?
I I do have an app for myself now, but the first serious app that I built was for the company that I was joined. Um, so it was a learning app that we used to play learning videos, and it was a very different kind of app because the business model was super different. But yeah, bottom line, it was like users would sign up and they could see all kinds of learning videos. They could watch and learn something. Yeah.
Cool. The reason I'm asking is to know at which level you can maybe have an app that makes user happy. So you should be a very professional Android developer, or with some knowledge you can create something.
For that, I can give you an app that apparently a lot of people are paying for it. I don't know why. And the only thing that this app does is just make your phone warm. And the app is called Radiator.
Okay.
It's super funny because people do actually install it and give feedback on the store and for them. So it doesn't really matter which level of professionalism you've gained. If you find something useful, hopefully not another Radiator, but just build it, put it up there, and there is people, trust me, there is people for all kinds of stuff. They're interested in what you've invested your time.
Is it open source? Can we see the code?
I
I
don't. I
like to
don't
know.
think so.
I like to know the loops.
Exactly.
Uh, okay, what aspect of your job as an Android developer you love, and you think if you do another job you will miss it?
Community.
Mhm.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely community. I love coding. But if coding was just sitting there alone, I do that time to time. I just want to leave the whole world and be focused on my computer and my computer alone. But I don't think I can survive in that kind of lifestyle for a very long time, at least personally. So community definitely.
Yeah, I agree. We have a nice community, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know if, for example, iOS has it. So don't become an iOS developer. Please join Android. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, who
joking.
wants to code in Xcode?
Yeah. Um, do you also code for other platform like iOS or backend? You just said no,
I
I
do.
think.
Yeah, I do code for iOS from time to time. One of the things that I like to review for iOS codes as well. So whenever
Mhm,
there's a PR from my teammates on iOS, I try
mhm,
to have a look at it and review it. and I happen to learn a lot from it. And I do code, as I've said, in Python, a bit of a JavaScript, but although I'm not very good at it, I don't know who is, but but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you mentioned a nice point that I like to do it also by myself. So right now, Swift and Kotlin is so much lookalike, and I think an Android developer can also review iOS app and iOS pull request. Do you normally do this in your team between iOS and Android apps?
So yeah, I've seen my colleagues from iOS team do review Android as well, just as a hobby. They don't have to, but they like it, so they do. So I picked it from the last company. There was one of our teammates that used to. He was an iOS engineer, and he used to review our code in a way that we missed stuff that was important, but he picked it up. I was like, how do you even know this stuff? And he said, I'm just reviewing the code. That's all. So I was interested. I wanted to know, and I tried to review a few times, and it wasn't as scary as it sounds. So I'm now doing it.
Yeah, I agree. So if someone wants to start Android development today, do you suggest that they should start with Java or Kotlin?
That's a tough one. Kotlin is very mature these days, but a lot of people from my home country, like we are from the same country, they start their career, and when they started, I always kind of suggest them to start with Java, because the resource that I have to suggest to them for Java is in Persian, so they don't have to like get stressed with English and all of the subtleties. But also I know that the resource is awesome, number one for the Java development. But if another person, maybe from London, asked me, I would suggest to go and check out some of the Kotlin resources and learn that. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. So the learning material kind of decide which way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice answer. So how was your last job interview process? And the main reason I'm asking is that, do you believe an Android developer should have deep algorithm knowledge?
The first question, it was daunting. It was overwhelming, stressful, exhaustive, all of them at the same time. So I did a few interviews in the past a few months, because I changed job, obviously. The one in Revolut was okay. So I'm not sure if I can share this stuff with you guys, but my experience, we didn't at that time. It was about a year ago. So at that time, we didn't have any algorithmic questions. Although, uh, if I'm supposed to design some of the questions for Android development interviews, I would actually put some of the data structure questions, like how I expect the person to know, if it's senior, to know about how the hash map works under the hood, and what can you do if the hash map doesn't work. So something like this is very important, at least to me, to see the person knows. But generally, to your second question, for some companies, yeah, it does make sense, because they don't hire specifically for Android. They hire generally for the entire company. I'm aware that Facebook does it. So when you get into Facebook, you don't actually have to go to the Android team if you were interviewed to Android. You can go to the any other team that you like. So I don't like it personally. Again, it's super stressful to ask algorithmic questions. But when I think about it, I don't yet have another solution for those companies. So for now, I try to just go on with it.
Okay, the next question is kind of related from Reddit. They asked, I've been learning Android for past 3 or 4 months and was wondering if I could grab an internship opportunity. Do you think 3 months is enough to start?
Sure, why not? I mean, why would you want to go with an internship when you can go with real job. I don't say that you should directly aim for the biggest senior levels, but there are some maybe contract works or freelance work that allow you to build up experience for a real project without going to the internship. With that said, if you find an internship in a cool company, never miss that, because it's a very good opportunity, and missing that might actually be in the future. It will be more beneficial when you do a internship for a cool company rather than just doing a small job for a small company. So, but yeah, 2 or 3 months can be more than enough depending on the person, depending on what you've learned. Again, you have to look back and see how much you have progressed. Git playing can be a good option here.
Yeah, cool. So another question from Reddit is that what characteristic in an Android developer can get your, if you're an interviewer, can get your acceptance, both technically and personally? And
Even
let's not forget this guy is junior Android developer. He's not a senior. So
yeah, I don't really care about the prefix. It's something that we like to label people with, but I always suggest that even if you're a junior Android developer, go and read up the top Android questions. They give you so much ideas about what is going to be asked, and maybe you find something interesting and you go and read it up in your free time. But something I really like to see in an interview is how the person actually answers, how he reacts, even though it's not a cultural interview, it's a technical one. But I like to see his reactions, his answers. If a person gets aggressive, that's definitely a no to me. Like immediately we'll say this is a red flag. We turn him off. But yeah, it's a balance. Don't go too deep in a technical and forget about the soft skills. They are maybe even more important than the technicals.
yeah, I also agree. I've done this before and hired junior Android developers, and I just like to see the passionate in that guy, that he is here to learn. And that's really a green light for me, even if that guy doesn't know anything about every API. But yeah, good
Totally.
points. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your career path up to this point? How did you ended up here?
Oh, it was tough. So I changed. Had to change jobs. I say I had to because I really had to. And I don't know how to actually answer that question, but yeah, from time to time, the things change, and to adapt myself to those new situations, then I have to change jobs. So my career involves into changing maybe 4 times job, and yeah, and one of the situations was that I wanted to move to Berlin, and then the situation changed, and I wanted to move to London, so I had to change my job. Yeah, it was a roller coaster. It has its ups, it has its downs, like anyone else. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And if you wanna suggest a book to a junior Android developer to read, what would be?
I have two answers for that. So if you're a book reader, uh, then pick something that interests you. For me, it was TDD by example from Ken Beck, and I read it. I enjoyed it. The book was great. If you don't read books often, just pick the book that is small and you think you can stand it for the next day, and read a few pages of that, maybe 1 page a day, until you grasp the culture of reading the book.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. What's your definition of being a senior developer, Android or anything else? And what type of characteristics do you think a senior developer should have?
So again, personally, I don't think the senior developer needs to know everything. Quite opposite. A senior developer for me is a person who's willing to learn as much as he is needed to. So when you enter a new company, you are the most junior developer in there because you don't know anything about the code base, you don't know about the culture, and the only thing that can pick you up and make you stand out from the rest of your colleague is just your communication skills, your ability to learn and being sponge to learn as much as possible, to communicate, again to contribute, because I like to see my company as kind of a closed source, open source. I like to see myself as a contributor. That's why I say I review code for iOS as well. I want to see if I can have a point on them as well and try to improve on their part, not just heads down and just coding for Android all day. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's why I say in even in the technical interviews, I try to look for the culture, the characteristic of the person.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. A senior developer is the person who shares, even if he doesn't know the whole project, but he has the knowledge to share. So yeah, we should care about the juniors and give them some knowledge.
Oh yeah.
What team arrangement you prefer to work with? All seniors or a mix of senior juniors?
uh, a mix of everything. So not just seniors or juniors, mix of people from different countries, mix of cultures, diversity. I really like that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I've learned a lot from juniors, to be honest.
Oh
And
yeah,
it doesn't mean that when you're a senior, you know everything. The more you're senior, you should agree that the less you know, because now you know how deep is the sea and where you're standing. And then
yeah.
another question from Reddit is that have you ever experienced imposter syndrome?
Every day.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a. I'm gonna keep this one short. There was a great talk in Berlin Droidcon, and I actually tweeted about it. Go watch that talk. It's awesome. I could relate so much to that talk, and it can actually the methods suggested in the talk is phenomenal. Just try to do it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, this one is interesting from Reddit. So some Android developer who wants to start learning Android as a junior developer was asking, what do you think about the future of Flutter? Do you advise a junior developer to learn it, or they should go directly to Kotlin and normal Android development?
Um, Again, I'm gonna go back to the matter of interest. So if you have an interest of doing the things once and running on both sides, Android and iOS, definitely go for Flutter. Why not? But if you wanna focus on technologies on Android, maybe you're interested about Dagger. Flutter doesn't have Dagger. Okay, just focus on Android. That was just an example. And the thing that is very important is the focus. So focus on one thing for a while, and then after you get what you needed from that technology, from that idea, then allow yourself to hop on to the next idea. If you keep changing focus, then you maybe 1 year pass and you see that, oh, I didn't learn anything useful. I cannot apply the whole thing into one place. So yeah, the focus is much more important than learning one technology. Learn whatever you like.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally correct. And maybe last question in this category is that someone from Reddit asking that, do you have any tricks in effective Googling in your job? Do you use any keyword or anything that helps to reach to the answer maybe faster?
Not really. I just search. Our Slack channel is very rich. So these days, before I go to Google, I first search in our Slack because a lot of questions are already being answered. But I just Google. I don't know. I Google until I find my answer.
Yeah, It reminds me of one of my friends who used to add programmatically at the end of every search to find that, okay, how to do this programmatically. But
That's a good one, though. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I do that too.
yeah, that's something cool. So that's the end of this section. So we will start with the next one. This section is about technical Android questions. So don't you miss Java?
Are you gonna catch me or something?
To be honest, sometimes I miss it.
I kind of do, but not much, just
Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. So is there any open source library that you cannot live without? Just name one.
I can live without it, but I really like it.
Mhm.
It's OKHTTP.
Yeah.
Whenever I feel tired, I just go and read the code. It's awesome.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a common question in all technical interviews, but if you had the power to change an Android API, which one would it be?
I mean, I don't know how many people answer that, but there was a thing called Honeycomb. The whole operation system version was just. I think Google actually changed it. They immediately released another one. But one thing that bugs me really is, oh yeah, context
Mhm,
for sure. Number one, context.
mhm.
Yeah.
Any idea how to improve it? Maybe we can give some idea to Google.
Good question. No idea.
Okay.
No, maybe in Xcode, in Swift, you don't have to. For example, if you want to request for permissions, you don't have to grab a context. Although we have similarities with them, they also have a similar issues as context. But context is way too overloaded, and everything has to be done through context.
Yeah. We all know Android Jetpack kind of made our life easier, but which package you like the most?
Compose.
I think it's a useless question. I shouldn't ask it anymore. Everyone says compose.
Uh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, someone on Reddit was asking, how did you get along with Jetpack Compose in your company? And is there any suggestion for integrating into existing apps?
So right now we're in the process of actually, I'm in the team that tries to introduce Compose in our project. But it's not a small thing to do. We have a lot of issues to solve before we actually can introduce Compose. Mainly one of the issues is just the code base is too huge and we don't know exactly where to start with. But if your code base is not that big, or if you're starting a new project, then you don't even need to communicate with the higher ups, because all they mostly care is the final product. If you give them a good product as a good engineer, I think they usually go okay with that.
Yeah.
But about Compose, so in my previous company, the opportunity wasn't there. We couldn't actually introduce Compose, and that's why I thought maybe I can introduce a Compose desktop app for another
Mhm,
area of the company.
mhm.
That's how I actually learned Compose, and that's why I said I did desktop apps.
Yeah, this is the next question is something that I really like to know the answer, and I guess it will happen. But do you believe at some point we will get Jetpack Compose for iOS?
I think they're already working on it, aren't they? I saw a tweet that the Compose is already supported very, very early stages for native, for Kotlin native. So I think we are almost there, but not quite. So of course, we are far away from 1.0, but in general, we will support it. but I'm having a hard time to understand what would be the exact use case. Because if you want to go cross-platform, then go Flutter, go React Native. Doing Compose and Kotlin all together might be beneficial at the starting point, but then it will eventually end up like another Flutter. So if you really want to go in a cross-platform road, then why not to go with them rather than waiting for Compose?
Yeah, okay. And TDD, test-driven development. Do you think it's a myth or is a reality? Have you ever tried it in a team?
I did try it, and from time to time, I do actually try to code in TDD fashion. But I don't do it day to day. I'm gonna be honest, because most of the times I don't know what I'm doing. So I first try to understand, okay, what is this piece of code is supposed to do, and then maybe let's talk about how to test it. Since this is my day-to-day life, then I cannot really do a TDD. Maybe I can. Please don't blame me. I'm not the professional here, but I happen to be find it easier to do a test after.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like to ask this question from many other people and get some idea, because I know some people love to do it, but sometimes, as you said, you have no idea where the feature will end, and you just have to start coding and see how does it go. I think doing TDD means you should have a broad idea about what's going to happen. You have to maybe even write it on a paper before coding and then decide to write some tests before doing it. But sometimes on a client app like Android or web page, it's too much depending on the view. But yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good point. And when you estimate a ticket, do you also dedicate time for unit testing?
Oh yeah, definitely. If we don't do that, then we run out of time.
Talking about unit testing, from your perspective, how important is to have a higher code coverage percentage? Do you believe a higher code coverage percentage means having a better source code?
I mean, why would you even look at that number? I don't care about the percentage, but we do test everything that we push
Mhm.
the Git repository. But generally, no one really cares about what's the number. It might be 100, it might be one. We don't really care.
Mhm. Beside Android Studio, do you also use any other software for development?
Yeah, it depends on what. Yeah, sure. It depends on what operating system you're using. I'm a fan of Windows, and I have a lot of tools for Windows. I see you have a nice fancy tower over there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, for Windows, definitely try Scoop. It's a
Mhm.
terminal app to manage your dependencies. It's very like Homebrew.
Mhm.
Uh, the other one is Kanimu. It's a terminal app. Although the new Windows 11 terminal is quite fancy and I liked it,
Mhm.
but I haven't like deep dive into it. The another thing. Oh yeah, one of the cross-platform ones, JetBrains Toolbox.
Mhm.
Definitely install it. And if you have Android Studio or IntelliJ IDEA out of Toolbox, just try to install it with Toolbox, and it has app for Mac and Windows. And if you are only into Android Studio, from time to time, give IntelliJ IDEA a shot. Sometimes it actually does improve your productivity, and it does help quite a lot when you're coding IntelliJ IDEA.
Yeah. 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 Nice.
Mm, yeah.
And maybe another question from Reddit is, how do you cope with Play Store policy updates? They are restricting and getting harder and harder. Do you even get involved with this part or not?
In the in the new company in Revolut, I haven't really dealt with it, because not much policy has changed since I joined. But in previous, the scope storage was going to be forced mandatory for all the updates. we didn't really had to care about it much, except that we just had to update that piece of feature that was dealing with the files. It was maybe 1 or 2 day task. That was it. Oh yeah, we did actually run into an issue that was causing by the scope storage, but that was this OS of the fault, not ours.
Yeah. Something that hit us hard in previous project, in previous company, was Play Store restriction on apps that are getting SMS and call permissions. And if you wanted to have those permissions, you should open send lots of document and discuss why you need it if you're not a messaging app or a call app. But yeah, that was interesting, and it really hit us hard. But we could get the agreement from Play Store that it's fine for our app to do it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But they are open for discussion, so that's the cool part.
All right.
Have you seen Android 12? And what do you think about the recent changes? And do you like this material you?
That's that new hot topic, isn't it? So no, I'm not a fan. That was actually one of the reasons I didn't like Pixel, the new Pixel. So that was left out. But I really do like the new privacy dashboard and the privacy. I think they call it toggle, something that and the LED shows up when an app is using your camera or microphone. Plus, there was an option to quickly turn off a permission for an app. I really like that.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah, cool. So another question is from Reddit. Someone asked that what are some challenges you ran into with scope storage become enforced with Android 11? Did you have any maybe in your app you're not using it?
So as I said, yeah, we did run into an issue with the previous company's project. Um, I don't know. I don't know how much of it I can discuss, but generally, with the scope storage, if you download or maybe move a file from your storage to public, and your app gets cleared data, then you lose access to that file. So that was one of the issue for us. The other one was that um the APIs wasn't really clear on how to actually move the file from private to one of the public ones. So we had to read quite a lot to actually understand how to move the file from one place to another place, following the new restrictions. So yeah, we did run into issues, but again, it was solvable.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue with new features, because no one has done it before, and if you are the first one who is going to pick that feature and do it, then good luck with it, because you have to maybe at some point start reading the API code, source code, to understand how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. This one is also from my wife, because she was asking, why do you think there are few women Android developers? And how do you believe we as Android community and companies should kind of encourage and empower them to join the fund?
Honestly, I don't know the reasons. Maybe their interests are different than ours.
I don't think so.
But I do have a few friends that are actually uh, there are women and they're in this industry from here, from back in my country. But honestly, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Cool. Yeah, next section might be interesting. So I will give you some option and you only have to pick one. So let's see. I think you already answered this one. Mac, Windows, Linux, which one you prefer for Android development?
Should I say it again? Of course, Windows.
Okay. Java, Kotlin, which one?
That's a hard one. Can I object it? New version of Java, the Kotlin together.
Okay.
Yeah, Kotlin. At this point, Kotlin.
Okay. And what about Dart or Kotlin?
Dart.
Yes.
No, Kotlin.
Okay. For dependency injection, Dagger or Coin?
Definitely Dagger.
Okay. Why?
I like it. It's a cool thing. Just learn it.
I know it, but then I switched to Coin, and I'm happy with Coin. I don't know. That there are lots of discussion around, but good to know.
We can talk about it in a whole different
Don't
interview.
do this. Let's not do it here.
Okay.
So, RxJava coroutines.
Huh. I like RxJava. I really do. But we're in Kotlin, so I have to go in coroutines.
Yeah. Git terminal or Git GUI client, something like fork or source
Mixed.
tree.
Mixed, both of them. But day-to-day GUIs, yeah, GUI, Android Studio, yeah.
I'm wondering why, for which part you use the terminal.
Just for the time that the Android Studio stops working.
Oh, okay.
And,
So you use the Android Studio plugin.
um, I don't know if I have by plugin you have to install it separately. The default behavior is pretty good for me at least. And for the terminal, for the rest of the things, if I'm outside of the Android Studio, then definitely.
Maybe the reason behind is that a junior Android developer should go and learn all the Git commands, or just use some client with some GUI for the beginning.
If you're working in IntelliJ IDEA or Android Studio, it's just a couple of shortcuts. Command K, Control K, and that's it. You don't really have to deal with a lot of Git commands. And if you find it fancy enough, then go and learn it. Otherwise, I don't see a point of learning the whole Git commands just for doing so.
Yeah, there are lots of switches and commands, but I personally suggest that you should learn how Git works, but you don't need to learn all the switches if you are not a terminal person. So catch up with some client, and if it works for you.
Yeah.
Merge or rebase?
Rebase.
Okay. MPP, MVVM, or MVI?
MVI for sure.
Okay. Okay. And as the last question, tab or space for indentation?
I don't really care about that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Control for the folks that are doing Android Studio, Control Alt L. That's my option.
Okay. Yeah. By default, I think it's a space, but I have some discussion that maybe tab is better, but let's not do it here. Okay. So yeah, to wrap up, I think I will put your Twitter link to the video description, but is there any channel that maybe you would like to get in touch if anyone has any question from you?
Yeah, Twitter is the best place. Otherwise, LinkedIn. I don't check LinkedIn as often as Twitter, but you can get a hold of me literally anywhere else with that handle as well. So feel free.
Any other topic that I didn't mention in this talk and you think you like to talk about, or some advice for some junior Android developer who are going to join this community? Anything you would like to add at the end?
Yeah, I have one thing, and that is very important. And that is about speaking up. It doesn't matter if you just started or if you're a senior Android developer or senior software engineer or whatever it is. You need to talk about your problems, your findings, and knowledge. Problems, because if you don't talk about problems, you think you're alone, and then imposter syndrome kicks in quite quickly. But trust me, you're not alone in anything unless you're creating a bleeding edge metaverse technology, something like that. So no, you're not alone in anything in these days. just try to speak and talk to your colleagues, friends, or the community. Everyone here literally is passionate about what they're doing, and I happen to I myself asked quite a few people before I made the move. I changed my jobs, and I'm happy that I did it, because with consultation comes the price. Um, yeah, otherwise you will lose a lot. So just talk to people.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time. We had a very nice talk. I enjoyed it. I hope you also enjoyed it, and also viewers. Also, thank you for being here. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. It was a lot to talk about, and it was a lot of fun. So thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest.
Nice. So my name is Mohsen. Thanks for watching. If you like this interview, I'm going to do it more with other Android developers. So feel free to join, like, and subscribe. Yeah, hit the bell button, and you will get notified when there is a new video. Thank you, and have a nice day.